and it really hurts me, and so I stopped telling her. Now the thing about such kids is it's either of two things: they stop talking altogether, or they find someone else to talk to. Now, God help you if the other person they get to talk to doesn't have their best interest at heart. So they would get wrong advice and counsel and stuff like that, or they stop talking altogether. And then the child starts talking to themselves. So for me, that was what pushed me to journaling. So I started writing my own thoughts as though I was talking to a third person. So I would talk, yes. So I look at the mirror and be like, hey, Bolu, so you know what happened that day? I didn't like it. And I would have serious conversations, like conversations on and on and on with myself. And then I would write them down and, so I would, and then I think it was just a matter of time, I guess. When Daddy came, I just realized that once I told the first person something in detail, it was almost difficult for me to tell the second, the third person, the fourth person again and again and again the same thing. So I'm like, I realized that once I journaled, I didn't really have a need to tell anybody anything again in detail. So what that meant was I began to retract, right? I think that's how it is for many youths as well. If you don't pick up on those cues early on, you lose them. But the truth of the matter is that no matter how much we think that we've lost them, we can always find them again. I say this because my father and I, after a long while, started, we had this ritual that we would do. And it's very funny because even now, once it's 6:45 to 7, so 6:45 to 7:30 in the evening, 6:45 to 7:30, almost every time, as long as I was with him at home or wherever we were, we'll go for a walk. So just to see that sunset from 6:45 to 7:30, to just walk when the sun is setting, and we talk about how that one turned from orange to reddish and looks like blood. And we talk about that, and then he told me about his own growing up years and how we trek from here and how his father bought him a female pair of shoes and he didn't know and he was so proud of it and he went to school and they all made fun of him. So we'll talk about every and anything, and those were our moments, right? It was our ritual. So even when I was not with him, I would miss those times. So if he's not there, I would still watch the sunset from 6:45 to 7:30 because I want to bring back those moments for me. And that's how it is, I think, with this. For my children, it is, knowing that what works for one child doesn't necessarily work for the other child is very important to note. It's natural for us to want to compare children, but we must fight that natural instinct to do so. In my book, The Art of Different, there was a part of the book where I mentioned, something as simple as there was a glass of milk. It wasn't actually half a glass. I can't call it exact half a glass, but it was just a glass of milk. It wasn't full. So I asked one of my kids what he thought about the glass. I'm like, it's a glass of milk now, it's color white. And then another one said, it must be very tasty. I love milk. And he went, and then the other ones they're talking about, she was very artsy about her own response. How that tastes a certain way, and it was just fun to see three people respond to the same thing in very different ways. Now that shows you what their strengths are. One person he's the logical person in the house. This is obvious. He does not unnecessarily attach deep meanings to anything. Like, why would you be going so deep when it's just a glass of milk? So that person, his own, would pick up on the cues of color. Another person will pick up on taste. It's the same thing, and that's how we all are. So sometimes, first of all, acknowledging the fact that we are different. We're inherently different. No matter how alike we are, we're inherently different people, and that difference is not wrong. Difference is just different, and that's what makes the world beautiful, right? I mean, you can imagine if every time we heard a song, it was just the melody of the song we heard. If we never knew what harmonies were, we would not appreciate what the song is. But the fact that the song can be melodious from the beginning, and then in a few minutes somebody injects a part, alto, tenor, whatever, and becomes harmonious, becomes sweet to listen to, and then you go back to melodies. It's those variations that make for a lovely song. And so if we see them like that, we'll realize that they are not weird. And again, owning yourself, owning your different. Weird is a good word. If that is what people want to call you, they can't understand. It's not your fault that they cannot interpret extraordinary and they decided to call it weird. That's their business, not yours. So I think one thing is that parents have to let their kids help their kids to become more self-aware, to become present in their own lives, to note their own thoughts, to quickly give interpretation to how they are feeling, so that when somebody else asks them how they are feeling, they can articulate it. They can articulate those feelings in a way that is understandable, so that they can get the help that they need. Because sometimes, for instance, I just to check. So if my daughter says maybe she has her leg is hurting, little questions the way doctors would ask, right? On a scale of 1 to 10, how painful is it? Is it 1? Is it 10? Those things seem like flimsy questions, but what matters is that you're getting to know that child more. So when the child now screams, it hurts. Remember, like, we know that Timmy doesn't have a high threshold for pain. And it hurts. It's just 3/10. And yes, she's screaming like that. But for another child that will say it hurts, as soon as it says it hurts, I'm running towards him because I know that he typically has a very high threshold for pain. So for him to say it hurts, it must really be hurting. So I think much more than any external person, just like you said, as parents, we should be able to listen to our kids, know them so well that sometimes they desire, and this I think somebody once said that love is interpreted as time when it comes to children. So sometimes it's not about the length of time, because some of us feel guilty that we're not always in their lives, we're not people that work hard and everything. But it's about the quality of the time that you do have with them. When you are with them, do you bond enough? Do you have quality of time? Do you let them speak to you? Do you do things that they would like to do? My kids love playing Roblox. I don't quite like the game. I barely understand it, but I form. I just like, oh yeah, really? Oh, okay. And then they show me one anime. They call anime. They call anime or something. And then one of them even created some game under the Roblox or something. And then he showed it to me, working funny, and they're going to pick up something. It looks so mundane to me, but it's what excites them. Like, so sometimes you play stuff with them, you play Monopoly with them, you play chess with them. You want them to beat you at the game, not because they're not good, but because you want them to have a feeling of winning and being better than someone that's supposedly older than them. So all of those little things. And I think one thing again that I must remember to say is this thing we call magic words. Make you feel as if it's just about primary school or elementary school or even basic school, where they're in nursery, kindergarten, and you're teaching them magic words. Say please, say excuse me, say sorry. As parents, it's not just enough to teach them that. We should leave it in the house. Want something, please, can you help me get that? Excuse me, may I change the channel? My father and my one time that my eldest brother changed the channel, and my youngest brother was in the house. I know that you couldn't even say excuse me. And all his friends are like, what's that? What's that? You're rude. My father just quickly, in our house, respect is mutual. When you want to change the channel, say excuse me. You can't just the guy was watching something. I can't just change the channel. So those little things, because we behave anyhow for the most part at home, and then all of a sudden you want the child to behave well outside. Like how now? So you behave like you are the father, you are the mother, so you have the final say. It's an authoritarian kind of leadership style that you run in the house, and then you expect your children not to be in a hurry to bully somebody outside. Of course, they'll be in a hurry to show somebody that they're older, they're better, I'm older than you, I'm the head of this family, or I'm providing this. Once they see those kind of behaviors at home, likely for them to repeat the same thing outside. When they see that mommy is always able to even send daddy on errand, sweetheart, can you help me, spread the clothes? I spread the clothes when I haven't bought them. Can you please go get them for me? And they see that daddy actually leaves what he's doing and goes to bring in the clothes. They begin to understand that, what, this thing called respect is mutual. And that this thing called love is about sacrifice, wanting to help the other person. It's about thinking not more highly of yourself than you ought to. So those little things, they are able to see and interpret. And in the days that they go off tangent, because they're human beings after all, you can quickly help them to remind them that this is not what this is not what we stand for as a family. This is not what we are about. I don't think that what you did was right. You shouldn't have done this, you should have done that. But I really want to understand why you did that anyway. And then sometimes you realize that somebody poked them so much that they responded. It's only a matter of time. If you push a sheep to the wall, it will go back and chase after you. So you want to ensure that you are not provoking them. You want to ensure that you're not poking them. And that even when you see that people are doing that to them outside, you help them to build skills to handle those things. You help them to realize that you can be assertive without being aggressive. You can look somebody in the eye and say what you don't want, and say what you want, spell what your boundaries are, say what ceilings you want to put in place without being disrespectful. So you begin to let them know those things. And even when you talk to them as well, let them understand that even when you use words like I'm ashamed, I'm disappointed, it's about the behavior. One particular time, I said something to my daughter, and she came back, she's like, Mommy, you can never be angry with me. I'm like, hey, who told you I can never be angry with you? Hey, see this girl. And she's like, Mommy, I know that you're just angry with my behavior. No, yeah, okay, auntie, come and sit down. Come and sit down. Just so that we are clear. Don't be using that kind of line for me. Don't try. Before you know what's happening now, I won't allow you to blackmail me with that. Come and sit down. Sometimes mommy can actually be angry with you because you should be responsible for your own actions. You should be responsible, take ownership for your behavior. So in as much as I said that it's that behavior, you and your behavior in this instance, you are the same. So when I said I was upset with you, I was upset with you. Don't try to, before you, because I was like, no, you can't use that line for me. Can you imagine this girl wanting to outsmart her mother, that kind of thing. But it doesn't matter, just let them know. And then little things like affirmations, even, they work a lot. Sometimes they just need to, I always tell them, I believe in you so much. I fear that you don't believe in yourself enough. And the truth of the matter is that no matter how much I believe in you, I can only root for you. Just like somebody at the stands clapping for their child when you're running. That's the best I can do. I can only shout, he's my child, he's my kid, he's running. I can't put one step after the other and actually run the race for you. So sometimes you have to tell yourself that I can do this thing. Self-belief and everything. So it's a gift that we can give our kids. Sometimes when things are out of your own hands and you've done all you think you can do, then you escalate. Escalating sometimes might not even be for the child, but for you as a parent. Because you might just need to check yourself. And so you need to bounce off your ideas with some other person to determine whether how you approach that situation was right or wrong. Or maybe not right or wrong, but could be better. And so having done that, if you now realize that, okay, that was the best you could do, then you might actually now need the child to go to some other person to be spoken to. Because sometimes it's just what it is. There's some parts of us, there's this see finish factor sometimes that no matter what you say to the child, he's just not listening anymore. He just feels like he knows you, he knows what you're about, what you're going to say, he can conclude your sentences, he can finish your he knows what every stare and gaze and everything means. He might not really be as open that says the same thing. They might begin to take him more seriously that, oh, okay, so this thing is not just my mommy is always saying this thing, but that perhaps this is more of the acceptable behavior. Than it's not just my mom or my dad that is saying these particular things.
Yes. Yeah. Wow. Thank you. That's so much being said. So much has been said. No, it's so much has been said. Thank you. The variety is a spice of life. Truly, all kids are not the same. They're all different. Even if they're twins or triplets, they will still be different in character, in everything. And I think the best way, like we started the discussion, is putting yourself, thinking about how you felt when you were a teenager yourself. Because for some reason we tend to forget those times.
Oh, yes.
Our parents talk to us and we're like, oh, I didn't like how, I was embarrassed when they said it. But then we now do same to our children. But that is life. That is part of what we do.
What you just said now made me remember something, which I think is also important to note, when we're talking about communication. There's triggers. Communication ties into a lot of things. So social intelligence, emotional intelligence, it ties into those things as well. As we begin to communicate first with ourselves on the inside, we realize on time what our triggers are. I used to be a very moody child, very, very moody. My mom would say 1 minute I'm happy, I'm excited. The next minute I'm just feeling foul and irritable. I was like, what just happened now? And I never really put my finger on it. But I realized that, I think that was what, so more recently, I realized that at the heart of it all, I'm actually introverted. But because I'm an extroverted introvert, so I was almost often taken for a sanguine. So as much as I can feed off energy and vibes with lots of people, I primarily love my own company. I love, I cannot be bored. I cannot be lonely. I don't know how to be lonely. I enjoy my own company. So it wasn't that I didn't want people around me. It was just that at that moment, I felt like it feels like you've given off so much in terms of value or energy or vibes, and you feel drained that you need to recuperate. You just need to be all by yourself and just, get some energy back. And then at that instant, people think, what's wrong with you? Go and check on your sister. She's feeling moody. And that's it's done out of love. You're coming to check on me, but I don't want you checking on me. I want you to leave me alone.
I have one like that.
So sometimes noting that and then helping your child to realize who they are very early on, and that it's okay for them to also change. The fact that you realize that this is who you are now doesn't mean you always be like that. Help them to understand with nature. Keep referring them to things that happen in nature. So a butterfly didn't start off as a butterfly. A big horse didn't start out as a big horse. See all that has happened. See how they've evolved. See how they've changed. So characteristically, as human beings, we change, we evolve, we improve. Yeah. That's what positive change is about. To say that, you know what, I was this way yesterday. I hope I'm a lot better today. I challenge myself. I urge myself to be better than I was yesterday. However, how I would look at a subject, how I would approach, a theme or whatever, should be different, positively different today than I did yesterday. And that's the challenge that you should give those kids, so that they would know that no matter how great I am today, there's always a better me that can evolve from this. It's not about comparing yourself with other people. It's about being better than you once were. And then letting them know, primarily, I think that they are beautiful the way they are, flaws and all, but that you want them to improve. So you're not asking for a perfect child. You're not asking them to get rid of something per se. So sometimes okay. So let me give this example, maybe as I round off that. So there's stealing and then there's honesty on one side. So rather than tell a child, do not steal, it's better to emphasize be honest. So when they're so honest, they will not even know how to steal, if you get what I mean. Like there was a time that I used to, and I worked in the bank for about 10 years, and there was a time I used to vex, say, there's some kind of money that you steal and nobody will know that you have stolen, because you're in the system. But you'd be like, I can't, even if I wanted to. I don't have the ability, the capacity. I have lost the capacity to be able to steal. And sometimes I used to pay me, say, if to say I feel steal, I will steal better money. And I've stolen hundreds of billions or billions, and nobody would have known. So at that moment, it wasn't about whether you get caught anymore. That even in spite of the fact that you will never get caught, you just do not know how to steal. You have lost the ability to steal. And that's why when my mom used to say, others may, but I cannot. I didn't used to understand it then. But as I grew older, I realized that truthfully, there are some things that you just do not know how to do because you are focused so much on, the ethics of something, the principles that anchor you, your values. You focus so much on those things that they've helped you to lose the ability for vices, if you get what I mean.
Yes. So, yes. Wow. Great. Thank you. And talking about your dad, when I was about inviting you for this interview, I just you may not remember, but that is something you, when you do something for a child or to a child, it lasts longer in their heads than you can ever imagine. So building that relationship with youths is creates a positive value in their own lives too. Now, there's something I always do when I know it's kind of risky, but when I see people walking or being stranded, I tend to want to help them, because I've seen myself in situations where I will be walking a long distance and I'm thinking, I wish somebody could just stop and just help me this time. Now that takes me to your dad. There was a time I was stranded in Akure. I wanted to go on half-term after inter-house sports. And it was your dad who actually took, yes, you may not remember, but yes, if you remind me, maybe he may not remember, but he helped out then. And I remember I dropped me at Oshodi because I was going to Abulegwa. So it said, where is easier for? I think you were going to maybe First Satellite Town or something.
Yeah, we lived in Satellites.
You
Satellite Town. Wow, wow.
Yes, so was like,
oh my goodness.
But we moved to Abulegwa.
Oh wow.
So I said, it's easier at Oshodi that I can just take a train. A bus to Abulegwa because you were going the other way. So from Akure, at that time I used to go by luxurious bus. So I was kind of stranded, like no money, no nothing, but I needed to go. So, those things. So when I remember you, all I remember is your dad, how he helped me
Oh
at
my
a parade.
goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my word. This is
it's
beautiful.
so every time, even now when I see adults, maybe stranded at the bottom, I just help them, because there's that thing like, oh, this person might be in that situation where they needed help, or you can't carry a megaphone. I need help, or everybody. You want to put yourself in that situation, so I do that a lot, and so many relationships with people, strangers, is all at the point of taking them from point A to point B, because I just feel this person might be stranded, this one might be in a hurry, and the bus is not coming. Just pick them and take them to where they want to go. So that stuck to me, and that's helped me a lot. So when you see him, tell him thank you, that little girl.
Oh my goodness, I'll be calling him right after this and telling him exactly that.
Remembers.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Yes,
wow.
It is, you may, that's why I say you may not remember, he may not
even
remember.
I can't remember. Oh my goodness. Wow.
I remember. I remember. Thank you. Now the final question: how can you help your child communicate effectively with others? Because now we've talked about communicating with them, but they within themselves, they might be struggling with friendship groups, they might be struggling with communicating with their own peers in class or in school. You just see that they fall in and fall out of relationships with classmates or classmates or even siblings every now and then. How can you help them? What can you do as an adult to help them?
Okay, so I don't want to force journaling on everyone, because that would be like, but the matter is that I think for me, apart from the fact that journaling helped me to find me, I think it helps us to reflect, and it also helps us to be critical, which is not a good thing, or it makes us critical rather, which is not a good thing. But I think that reflecting, at least the reflective part of it, is a good thing. It's an advantage to journaling. Journaling or writing your thoughts, or just having, even if you're not putting it down, just have a moment in your life. If it's first thing in the morning, better at night before you go to bed, where you just think through your day and how it went, and the things, because we are able to. God has blessed us somehow. We're able to, like a film, scroll through all of our life literally in a second. Not talk of all of our day, just one day. So in seconds, your day is captured like that. You can see what happened, the conversations you had, who you spoke with, like you're standing as a third person outside of yourself and watching how your day went. I think it's important for us to gift that to our children as well. Help them to begin to start reflecting early on in life. Many adults, unfortunately, are not present today, are far from being self-aware because they do not reflect. They just live each day as it comes. Today comes, they live it. Tomorrow comes, they live it, and their yesterday do not impact on their today. Because if it truly does, then you should not make the same mistake 1, 2, 3, 4 times. The same vein, if you've truly learned from an experience, you should be more equipped to handle future ones. So I think we should help them to be able to reflect, because with reflection comes a deeper sense of awareness. And as per helping them to talk to other people, when you can talk to yourself well, so many people have feelings that they cannot quite share, not because they don't want to share, because they don't even know how to. They can't find just the right words to paint what that feeling is, to show or to communicate what that feeling is. And so we should help them to be able to do that early on in life. So that when they do have things to say to people, they can know what words to say and what words not to say. You can imagine there was a time in this world that when you be like, I'm feeling gay today, it just simply meant you're feeling happy today. That has a different meaning right now. So it's things like that, letting them understand that a word can have different meanings. And then beyond that, context matters. The fact that you said something today under the circumstances, I was taken in good faith, everybody laughed, doesn't mean that you say the same thing someplace else and then people would laugh. People might even take offense. In one of the things I shared when I was talking about adaptive leadership, I talked about this HSBC bank advert that had to do with somebody slopping tea. And slopping your tea means that you enjoyed it. Some other place, it means that you lack etiquette. You don't have home training, And some other people will look at, so different interpretations for the exact same thing. So helping them to note these things is also helping them to become emotionally intelligent very early on. And I think with the better you are emotionally, in terms of your intelligence and your social intelligence as well, the better you are at communicating with other people. Because when you're saying one thing and you realize that it's not having the intended meaning or the intended response, you quickly readdress what it is you're saying. Because no matter is that the bulk of communication lies on the sender. Of course, the listener has a large role to play in interpreting it, of course. You just don't want to make it all, but the bulk of it lies with the sender. So if what you say is not being understood by somebody, the truth matter is that to a large extent you do not explain well. There was a better way you could have put it. So it's a challenge on you as the sender to ensure that communication is effective. Of course, like I said, the listener also has a role to play. You should be able to deepen your own, level of understanding too, so that whenever you see something or hear something, you can quickly have the intended meaning of what the person is trying to pass across. But the bulk of it usually lies with the sender. So your children should know that whatever comes out of your mouth is your responsibility. How it is interpreted to a large extent is your responsibility. If you notice that it's not being taken properly, it's not being interpreted properly, quickly redress it. Quickly say, sorry, is this, when the person says, did you understand what I meant? And then says, this is what I think you meant. Oh, no, that's not what I meant. This is what I quickly clarify, clear the air, so that the person does not go away with a wrong interpretation of what you intended to pass across. And letting people, and then helping them, little things like letting them know that failure is an act and not them. The fact that you said something and it wasn't properly understood, you feel that communication exercise, you feel that communication, that's exactly what it is. It's not deeper than that. Tomorrow you get better at it, So, let them just know that there is nothing wrong with making mistakes. When you make mistakes, you get better at it. And that owning your mistakes is what makes you noble. Being able to own your errors, own your mistakes is a noble thing to do. And that you should be so confident that when people laugh at you, it's either you ignore them or you laugh too. I used to say that thing. My younger children laugh. People laugh at them back. When they laugh, they go, ha 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 ha. He used to laugh back. Because the matter is that they ain't expecting you to laugh back. So you've also thrown them off balance in your laughter. So sometimes when people laugh at you, laugh back at them. What's the worst that can happen? They look at you shocked and they will know not to laugh at you another day. So
thank you very much. I really appreciate your comment.
Thank you, Vumi.
I just want to say, do you want to say, tell us briefly about your book? Let me bring that up on the screen now. I know your book is on Amazon.
Yeah.
Yes. Could you please tell us just briefly about your book and where to find? Well, we can see where to find it. This book. Please tell us why do people buy this book. It is. I can see even from the understanding of it. I mean, I can imagine the concept of it, but I'm longing to get it and see what actually it's all about. So why would people buy this book?
Okay. Primarily it's about finding yourself first. You cannot be the quality of your interactions with other people, the quality of your relationships with other people can only go so far if you are not first at peace with yourself. So some people are a certain way and then they want to be another person because they do not quite understand why they are the way they are. And so that quest, that lingering longing to be somebody else puts them on a rat race their entire life. You just realize that they get old and realize that they were always wanting to be somebody else, living someone else's dream, and then they live life very empty, wishing that they had just found their own path, stuck to it, and run with it. So that is what this is all about, saying that you are unique in your own way. You are perfect the way you are. Do you need to improve? Yes, improve to the degree of yourself, not because somebody else says so. So whatever it is that you can do well, improve upon that. Whatever it is that you think you're not doing well enough, you can also improve on that. But the key thing, the core of who you are is who you are. So love yourself and everything that you have. For a while, let me say this, for a while, I always wanted to be the person that would just write and never talk. So this kind of interview would not even have happened if it was Bolu, my previous life. Because for a long time, I just had this impression. I wasn't really my fault because many people would say that, so you see somebody, someone, you're like, beautiful girl, beautiful babe, beautiful. And it was just like, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So at a point, I felt I am more than a pretty face. So at a point, I intentionally stopped being visible So I didn't do anything. TV, interestingly, I did TV when I was younger, but I just stopped TV. I started doing more of radio because I wanted to be known for my voice and for the essence, the context of what the content rather what I was putting out. So whenever I was writing, I felt people would read what I'm writing and to make sense to them. And there's no color to their biases because they're looking at a pretty face that is saying something. So for the longest of time, I just do not want to be seen. So I had this thing of I wanted to be heard but not seen. I wanted to be invisible. Let my work just speak for me. As I got older, I realized, you know what, that in of itself is not healthy. It worked for me at the time, but it's not healthy. But what is that you begin to undermine yourself. You begin to think there's something wrong with you. That people see you. People say things like beauty. Most people that are beautiful don't have brains. People that look geekish are the ones that have brains. You know, so all those kind of nonsense narratives that you hear, if you don't attend to them on time, they will literally ruin you. So that is what this book is about. That people will splash narratives up and down. People will splash things here and there. But Bolu is both beauty and brains. Own it. There's nothing wrong with being beautiful and having a brain, you know.
Yes,
so don't let people limit you, undermine what it is that you have just because they're not that way. It's okay for you to be different from somebody else and to love yourself wholeheartedly with your flaws and all, literally. So yes, that's what this book is about. And it's very good for teenagers, especially for people that are just coming into their own. Like I said, it's interesting that some adults find it useful too, because disappointingly, like I said, so many adults just live life without being self-aware or being present. So for people like that, this book would be a very good read.
Wow, thank you. Can't wait to have it. And viewers, that's Boluwatiwi's page, Facebook page, if you want to contact her to get more information or even to, you know, do whatever it is you think you want to communicate with her, yes, or ask her questions, please visit her Facebook page and she will be willing to answer all your questions. She is the expert in this area. So yes, please. All roads lead to Boluwatiwi page. And the Amazon book, please, let's all find time to get it done. Get the book from Amazon. You will easily, and I think it's digital copy, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so you know, there's no delivery and all of that issues. So please, let's download. Let's make reviews on her page and review the book so she can also get more books out for us all to read and add value to the world. So thank you very much for adding value to our world. Really blessed to know you. So this is the end of our interview and I really appreciate your time. I was in the pipeline, but yes, thank you very, very, very much. I really appreciate you. And I pray that what you do will definitely bring people to be better versions of themselves. As they read your book, as they listen to you, you affect lives and you will be happier for it. And your children will rise to call you blessed. Your husband will be proud of you all the time. And you will be proud of yourself more, your family, your dad. Oh, say thank you to
I will.
From ages ago.
Oh my goodness, unbelievable. I will. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. God bless you. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you very much. Bye-bye, and we'll speak to you later. So, viewers, you've had it all from Boluwatiwi. Thank you very much for staying with us to the end of this interview. So, please like, share, subscribe, share the video because there are many people who need this information out there. It's about communicating effectively with our youth and even with colleagues, with family, with everyone around us. We all need communication and we need to be effective in our communication. So till I see you next time, I say bye-bye.